Welcome to the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Glen Ritter. Looking forward to chatting with you all this evening. I've got a lot of great things to go through. We're going to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. Boy, they've had a busy week. Oh, man. Free agency was fantastic. Unfortunately, I was out of town on Monday and Tuesday when all the big things were happening, so I wasn't able to really catch on to everything as it was happening. But man, love the moves that they've made there. Bringing back Aaron Jones, signing Isaiah Rodgers. So we have Aaron and Rodgers combo, but not Aaron Rodgers. So thankfully we don't have that. Lord knows we don't want that. Signing guys like Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, just bolstering the interior of the offensive line. Just fantastic things going on there. And then they signed Tavier Thomas, who's a special teams kind of specialist, which I found kind of interesting because there's some guys that have gotten some contracts early on in free agency that are really essentially special teams aces. I know Trent Sherfield Jr. was, I think he was signed to the Arizona Futures contract after the season was over, which was kind of weird. He's a Minnesota Vikings wide receiver, great special teams guy, and it was a dependable wide receiver in a pinch. Anyway, so he got signed to a 2-year contract, I think worth about $3 million. So it's kind of crazy numbers there. They re-signed Byron Murphy Jr., Theo Jackson, Harrison Smith also got a new contract for next year. So just so excited to see and think about everybody that's going to be coming on the team next year. Also going to talk about the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are one of the hottest teams in the NBA right now. They've won 6 straight games. Going on a roll here here to get the season started, or to keep things going, and loving the way that they're playing right now. Talk a little bit about the Wild. The Wild are struggling. Man, they're tied for they're in 4th place in their division, the Central Division. I'm not sure how the season's going to play out. Right now they're in the first wild card spot, which is great, but that means that they're going to need to hang on with all the injuries in order to make it on or carry on a little bit more. But anyway, it's going to be an interesting show. We've got a lot to talk about. Ben Johnson was fired as Gophers head coach, so let's get into this. All right. So thanks, everybody. Great to have you here. Just got a little shout out here from Brian. Brian is the host of our Beantown Boston show. Thanks for tuning in, Brian. He had a great show last night, and hope I do the same here for you. So anyway, we're going to go into a quick little break just to get all of our sponsors some airtime. So we'll be right back here on the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the Bold North Breakdown. Check out our sponsors. Make sure you take care of them. Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. The stuff is fantastic. I always keep a bag of that stuff in my desk at work. Because you can never have. Excuse me. Sorry about that. You can never ever have too many high protein, lean. With no fillers, snacks in your office helps you get through the rest of the day. So definitely check that out. Obviously, Vital Apparel, great gear that you can wear when you're working out. They donate back to mental health awareness. Fantastic company to work with. Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Check those out with Cecilia B. And our newest sponsor is raw nutrition supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com. Use the promo code IESR and get 10% off your order. Great. Again, another great sponsor. So yeah, definitely check all those guys out. Again, my name's Glen Ritter here on the Bold North Breakdown. You can follow me on X at boldnorth_IESR, or my personal handle is Gritter13 on X. So check us out, follow me on either one or both. Love to have you on there. And then also, again, do make sure that you follow the IE Sports Radio Network on either Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Go to the website, iesportsradio.com, and they can check out my bio, all the other speakers around the country, lots of great speakers. And if you enjoy the shows, which there's a lot of great ones, think about becoming a supporter. If you for $5 a month, become a supporter. That helps keep all of everybody up and running. The cost to have this website for our man in charge, Larry B, is no small amount of money. So we're all trying to scrape and scratch our way to at least breaking even. So any little bit helps if you can. Definitely would encourage you to do that. So anyway, enough of the plugs about helping out and all of that stuff, although I do encourage you to do that. Let's get to the real reason we're here. Let's talk about the Vikings. The Vikings had a great week. I knew that they had a good amount of money coming in. I really believed in Kwesi, in his ability to sign free agents after last offseason. Last offseason, he signed Andrew Van Ginkel, Jonathan Grenard, Sam Darnold. Boy, all those were home run signings. And I've got that same feeling this year. Although last year, I didn't know a whole lot about Jonathan Grenard. All I knew was that we lost Danielle Hunter to Houston. So, but throughout the season, he showed that he knew what he was doing. So, the signings that they made were fantastic. As I've said on the show's previous weeks, needed to attack the interior offensive line for the Vikings, which they did. They raided the Colts. I know there's a gentleman on here who runs the Colts account, and sorry, I don't know your name yet. I'm still fairly new at this, but we both kind of signed some players off of each other's rosters. So I was kind of disappointed in the two guys that did end up leaving to go to Indianapolis, but I understand why they did that. But for the Vikings, bringing in Ryan Kelly to play center, and then Will Freeze to be the right guard, both coming over from Indianapolis, really helps solidify the interior of the offensive line. I know both guys are coming off of injuries, which is kind of a common theme for a lot of the guys that were signed this week by the Vikings. All of them had some injuries last year. I think Will Freeze broke his tibia. I can't remember exactly what Ryan Kelly's injury was, but I know that he had something. Javon Hargrave, we're talking about other signings. Him and Jonathan Allen as defensive tackles to help, solidify the interior of the defensive line, which is a huge hole for the Vikings last year. They were able to stop the run, but they really needed to blitz a lot to do that, which in the end made them a little more susceptible to the pass. Hargrave, I think, tore his pec, and Jonathan Allen, I know, played like 4 games before he got hurt, and then I think he came back for his last game. But he's just a beast in the middle. So I know that Kwesi's kind of rolling the dice on all of these guys being healthy. But if everybody is healthy, the team is going to be very good. I know they won last year. The Vikings won 14 regular season games, going 14-3, which is fantastic. But the talent of the team was not huge. Now, this is all going to be dependent on J.J. McCarthy taking over the reins at quarterback. Sam Darnold signed with Seattle, which 3 years, $100.5 million. The Vikings weren't going to be able to offer that. I was kind of hoping that Daniel Jones would want to stick around 1 year as the backup or compete with JJ for the starting position, but I think his feeling is he's got a better chance to get some playing time in Indianapolis with Anthony Richardson as the young guy that excuse me again. Sorry about that. Anthony Richardson being the young guy that is a physical freak, but seems to get hurt a lot with the way he plays. So I understand his idea there. He's more likely to get a chance to play regularly in Indy because Richardson got benched last year too. So there's all kinds of options where he might just win the starting job outright, and they might move on from Anthony Richardson, which would be kind of a crazy thing considering he was the 4th overall pick, I think, just a couple of years ago. Today, the Vikings did make a trade as well. They traded Ed Ingram to Houston. Ingram was a 2nd-round pick, played right guard, started at right guard last year for the Vikings for the first, half of the season, roughly. Oh, sorry. I got to take a drink of water here. Sorry. Anyway, Ingram was the starter for a while. Really wasn't playing great, so they turned it over to Dalton Reisner once he was healthy. He was injured, I think, in training camp. And once he was healthy, he took over the starting job for the rest of the season. Really wasn't as good as he was 2 years ago. When they signed him 2 years ago, he was the guard that I really like to watch because he played with a bit of a mean streak. When the Vikings were running the ball, he'd be following the running back down the field. And if the running back was going to slow down, he would come in, push the pile, and move him forward for another 2, 3, 4 yards. Great. It was a great guard that year. Let's see. Oh, the other potential cut for the Vikings is they also announced that they're going to try to trade Garrett Bradbury. And who knows if they'll be able to get anything from him. Oh, I don't think I mentioned Ed Ingram got traded to Houston, as I mentioned, but they're getting a 2026 6th-round draft pick for him, which I think is fabulous value. I mean, I know he was a 2nd-round pick just a couple of years ago, but he lost the starting job. I don't know that he's got the flexibility to be a backup at both guard positions. So there just didn't seem to be a home for him this upcoming season. I think if they were to add another guard, if they were to bring back Reisner or something like that, I think they would have him be a backup at both guard positions, but Reisner probably wants to start. So not sure exactly what they're going to do for some of those backup positions, but Garrett Bradbury, it sounds like they told him today that they're going to try to trade him. And if they can't find a trade partner, they're going to just release him. So, which is unfortunate. I mean, he was a 1st-round pick, 6-7 years ago. Kind of thought that he would be the answer at the center position for, 8 to 10, 12 years or whatever, but hopefully 8 to 10 anyway. If we take a offensive lineman in the 1st round, you hope that they would last that long, but he was okay. But I think if you're going to win a championship, you need better than okay in the middle of your offensive line. That's where defense is attacked, was that interior of the offensive line. So seeing those guys go, not a huge deal for me because I think we got some good guys in place in that starting positions. At the left guard position, I think they're still going to stick with Blake Brandel. He had kind of an up and down year. He was better when Christian Darrisaw was healthy. So now that he's recovering from that ACL surgery, I'm hoping that he'll return back to his normal self last year, like he was last year. He was pretty good up until the point where Darius got hurt. Then when he was playing next to Cam Robinson and Bradbury at left guard, it just it wasn't all that great. There was a lot of confusion, and they just didn't play really well as a team. But I'm looking forward to how well they're going to play this year. On the defensive side of the ball, having a front, the way that Brian Flores runs his defense with kind of a 3-4 scheme, but lots of guys just moving around, having some defensive linemen like Jonathan Allen, Harrison Phillips, and Javon Hargrave, all kind of mixed around. I think Harrison Phillips is going to be the guy that can fill that nose tackle kind of type position, and then the other guys can kind of move around next to him. And but those guys are just penetrating defensive tackles that will hopefully be able to keep the Vikings from having to blitz so much. Last year, they were quite the blitzing team because that was the only way they were able to generate any pressure. And that was really Grenard and Ben Ginkel on the outside. And then they've got Dallas Turner too. So when I think about the defensive front seven guys, boy, they've got some studs there. And one signing I forgot to talk about earlier is Blake Cashman, who's a Minnesota guy. Went to high school in Eden Prairie, which is a kind of a western suburb of the Twin Cities here, where the Vikings corporate office used to be before they moved to Egan a number of years ago. Played at Egan High School, Eden Prairie High School. Played for the Gophers. Got drafted, went to the Jets. Was okay there. And then he really started to develop. Played really well with Houston a couple of years ago, and then signed with the Vikings last offseason. And he was one of those guys that him being available and on the field and healthy was a huge difference maker to their defense. I always like to point out that the first two losses that the Vikings had against Detroit and the Rams, those are the first two games that Blake Cashman missed. So when they started out hot, he was playing. He gets injured and then misses 2 games, and they lose both of them. He comes back and they start winning again. Of course, they got to Detroit and the Rams again later on in the season, and he was healthy for those games, so he wasn't quite the magic potion that I was hoping for with him on the defense. So, like I mentioned, there's some other losses that the Vikings had in free agency to their roster. Like I said, Darnold went to Seattle, Daniel Jones went to the Colts, Cam Bynum also went to the Colts, and that was one that really kind of hurt me a little bit. Just it was like a punch in the gut. He was somebody that the Vikings drafted in the 4th round out of Cal. It was kind of a corner/safety. They moved him to safety. He's been a very, very solid safety. He's not a world beater, but he does play really, really well. He's very solid. He knows where he's supposed to be. He does what he's supposed to do. And then when it comes time when the team makes a big play, he's always got a celebration going for the team. Between there was the white girls dance, there was the usher dance, there was I can't remember the name of the movie where the twins. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Unless somebody in the audience remembers what that is and throw it in the message in the comments there so I can remember that. But anyway, he always had some sort of celebration dance lined up when the team would make an interception. And they pretty much had a turnover every single game last year, I think, up until maybe not. Actually, I think they went through the regular season getting a turnover in every single game. Including the game in Detroit when they got kind of manhandled there at the end on the final week of the season for that first round bye. There's still some needs that need to be taken care of, though. Number one, since Darnold and Daniel Jones left, Nick Mullins also left, which I've never heard of a player like Nick Mullins being a first day free agency signee. Jacksonville, who hired a former Vikings coach to be their offensive coordinator, signed Nick Mullins and Johnny Munt. Again, not the superstar type players that get signed on day one of free agency. So I found it kind of ironic that that those guys all left on in those first day or two of free agency. But that means the only other quarterback that I think they have around is Brett Rippon. So they need to find a backup. Earlier today, I was putting my notes together for the show. I'm thinking, okay, one guy that I could see being a backup quarterback for the Vikings would be Gardner Minshew. Then when I get home and checking on my notes and looking through some things, I see that he signed or agreed to. He signed with Kansas City. So that's unfortunate. But there's other guys out there. There's Jacoby Brissett. I think Carson Wentz would be a fine backup as well. The one guy that I want absolutely nothing to do with is Aaron Rodgers. But boy, people seem to keep talking about like the Vikings should be interested. I really think that the Vikings organization wants JJ McCarthy to be the starter next year. If not, then I think Daniel Jones would have signed back here. If he would have actually if they wanted him to potentially compete for the starting job, I think the Vikings would have offered him that $14 million 1-year contract that the Colts did, and he would have been. I think he would be here if they didn't want JJ McCarthy to really have it'd be his job to lose, I guess is what I'm trying to say. and that's and that's what it is. So hey, just checking the comments here. Thank you, sir. Brissett already signed with the Cardinals. Dang it. Okay, well, thanks for ruining my night. Anyway, no. Okay, so I'm back to the drawing board with quarterback options. But I think Carson Wentz, played at North Dakota State, so kind of knows the area around here. So it's kind of an upper Midwest kind of a guy. So maybe he would be a good fit. I think that there's a need for a number 3 wide receiver with the likely suspension of Jordan Addison for a game or 2 or 3 to start out the next season. The perfect guy that I can think of right now, I know it's a dream scenario, Cooper Kupp, but okay, we're not getting into that bidding war for Cooper Kupp. As much as I would love to have, underneath possession guy like him on the team. Tyler Lockett, I think, who's a little bit older, been in the league 10 years as opposed to Kupp's 8. I think he would be a good fit. He could play on the outside. He could play in the slot. He can run all the routes. He's been already playing with some big name guys and was kind of fighting for catches and for passes to be thrown to him with JSN and DK Metcalf over in Seattle. So I think he would on a 1-year deal. I'm sure he would be interested in coming in and playing for an organization like the Vikings have. So let's see, thinking about the draft. So again, the Vikings have 4 picks in the draft, number 24, number 97. Something must have changed with the compensatory picks once those were officially awarded earlier this week, because I always thought it was going to be number 140 and 161, but they must have had 1 4th round compensatory pick. Oh, man, sorry. We're going to need to take a break here. One of the fourth round picks must have been made into a fifth round pick. So each of those picks moved up one. So the Vikings have 24, 97, 139, and 160 in the upcoming draft. And since the signings were made, I think they can go best player available in the draft. Whether it's an offensive lineman, Gray Zabel, maybe, or Tyler Booker. I don't think Tyler Booker is going to make it to number 24. But Gray Zabel should be there. They could go corner if one of those guys is still around. Again, I like Jahdae Barron, but again, he's probably going to be gone. It could be the combine workout king, Nick Emanowari, I think is how it's pronounced. Big safety, 6'3" safety, 220 pounds, out of South Carolina, runs a 4.38 40. Just a beast of an athlete and plays well. He's not one of those Tarzan players, or looks like Tarzan plays like Jane. No, doesn't sound like he's that guy. Kind of haven't watched a lot of South Carolina football, but from everything I've read about him, he's a stud player and could potentially start at safety or at least be the heir apparent to Harrison Smith, who likely this is going to be his last season. It's his 14th year playing for the Vikings. So those are some of the guys that I'd like to see coming up here for the Vikings. So at this point, we're going to take a quick break, hear from some of our other shows, and I'll be right back. You're watching the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be right back.
What does he want on the head?
Hey, yo, what's good, Georgia? It's your boy ACS, and if you love sports from the Peach State as much as I do, then Georgia Sports Central is your one-stop destination for down south sports, courtesy of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you a Yellow Jacket at heart, or do you bleed the red and black of the Bulldogs? Do you keep it true to Atlanta with Trae Young, Capella, and the boys? Do you rise up with the Dirty Birds on Sundays? Are you excited to see what the future holds for Michael Penix Jr., Bijan, and the rest of the Falcon squad? Do you live at 755 Battery Avenue? Do you rep for Albies, Acuna, and the rest of Braves country? If so, then let's get united every Wednesday for some Braves, Hawks, UGA, Georgia Tech, Atlanta Dream, Falcons, and more on Georgia Sports Central, only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio. Again, I'm your host, Glen Ritter. Check out those shows. Check out the Atlanta show. Check out the just check out any of the shows. Go to iesportsradio.com and check out all the shows. There's just so many out there. Go to the YouTube page. You can click on any of the shows and get to know all of those hosts. They all do a fantastic job. But let's oh gosh, I thought I took care of that cough during the break, but I'll take another little sip of water here to get things going. But so the Wolves are on fire right now. They've won 6 in a row. They went through that rough stretch where Julius Randle was hurt. Dante DiVincenzo, Rudy Gobert dealing with his back issues. During that time, all of those guys dealt with some injuries. So what did that mean? Well, that meant guys like Naz Reid got into the starting lineup. Julius Randle was moved from small forward to power forward. Jalen Clark was in the starting lineup playing small forward along with Conley and Anthony Edwards. Now that those guys have come back, you would think that there would be a little bit of an issue with guys, playing well together. But boy, they've been playing seamlessly. It's been amazing. Let's see. Going back to last Friday night, they beat Miami in Miami 106-104. Didn't have Rudy Gobert for that game. He's still dealing with the back issue. So Naz is starting. The guys played well. So anyway, so the things then on Sunday, they played the Spurs. Now the Spurs were playing without Wemby, right? So everybody knows he's out for the rest of the year. So they had a little bit of an advantage there, but they had Rudy back, and they just steamrolled the Spurs 141-124. Randall was his stat line for that game was pretty amazing. And early on in the season, I was not a fan of Julius Randle, but I've come around on him. He can score, rebound. He can pass the ball like no other. During that game, he had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, and 0 turnovers. You tell me that there's a 6'8", 6'9" power forward or forward that can pass like that with 0 turnovers in a game. That's pretty amazing. And he isn't feeling like he has to shoot the ball all the time. So, so that's that's great. So that game, and it's not like San Antonio doesn't have other players. De'Aaron Fox, is a fantastic point guard, but boy, the way that the Wolves were shooting and passing the ball and moving the ball around was just a thing of beauty. So they were clicking on all cylinders that night. And then things continued last night when they beat the Nuggets 115-95. So I think that they've beaten the Nuggets and the Suns, who they played in those are the two teams that they beat in the playoffs. I think they're undefeated against those teams this year. I think so. That's what I heard on the radio as I was driving home. So I'd have to double check that for accuracy. But last night, I know the Nuggets were playing without Aaron Gordon. He's been dealing with some injury issues this season. But I love the Timberwolves' philosophy when it comes to playing the Nuggets. Their philosophy is, okay, we're just going to single team Jokic. If he scores, he scores. But they're not going to let him make everybody else insanely good. So Jokic's stats last night, 34 points. Again, he's the leading scorer in the game, but only 8 rebounds and 4 assists. When he is on his game and really picking on the defenses, he's putting up like 20, 10, and 10 stat lines, which I think he actually had a 20-20-20 game over the weekend or something like that. I thought I read something crazy like that, which is like, that guy is just an amazing player. But because of that approach and the team defense approach to all the other guys, Jamal Murray had 12 points, 4 of 15 shooting from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. He's another superstar player. Michael Porter Jr., another guy that always seems to give the Timberwolves fits. 10 points, 3 of 10 shooting from the field, 0 of 3 from 3-point. They have the Nuggets number, and the Nuggets aren't that deep of a team anymore, like they had been in the past. Like when they won the championship, they've lost a lot since then. So it's good to see them clicking. Again, the Timberwolves as a team had 31 assists last night. So that means just about all of their shots came off passes, or all of their buckets came off passes. I know that I can't remember who led the team in with assists, but I do know that Ant led the team in scoring, and he doesn't always lead the team in scoring. When I think about, you go back to that game against Miami last Friday, they had 7 players that scored between 12 and 15 points. That's a picture of team basketball. How can you have your leading scorer score 15 points? And there were 3 guys that had 15 points, but 7 guys between 12 and 15 points. It's just crazy. Those are numbers that you just don't ever hear of. So right now they're in 7th place. I hope that they're going to keep climbing up the standings, but we'll see. Because they've got some good teams ahead of them. I think the Warriors are percentage points ahead for 6th, and I think Houston is about 3 games ahead. And I think, I think that they've got about 16 games left, 16 or 17. So they're getting close to the end of the season. But the way that they're playing, if they can finish out strong, and if there is 16 games left, if they go 13-3, where will they end up? And I don't know exactly who they've got playing that game or in their games, but I believe when I read last week that they had one of the easier schedules the rest of the way, outside of some games like the one last night against the Nuggets. So. Really looking to see how their season finishes out. I think getting those young guys some of that really good playing time and having them step up really has made a difference to all the veterans while they were out sitting on the bench. They're watching these guys hustle for the balls, just always moving, and they just realized, okay, that's how you have to play. You have to play defense. You have to play with some grit and be there in people's faces on defense. No giving up. Don't make silly turnovers. Because since then, they've been taking care of the ball pretty well. So anyway, really looking forward to seeing how things go the rest of the way for the Wolves. So gonna take another quick little break here. Just a short segment there. We'll be right back here on the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Cleveland and Columbus sports fans, I've got the show for you. I'm Jen B, host of the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You want football? I've got the Browns, the Buckeyes, the Eagles, the Purple Raiders, and more for you. You want basketball? I've got the Cavs and the Charge for you. You want hockey? I've got the Blue Jackets and the Monsters for you. You want football, aka soccer? I've got the crew and the crunch for you. You want volleyball? I'm going to unleash the fury for you. You want more Cleveland and Columbus sports? I've got them all for you, from the majors to the minors to the college rinks. Catch me, Gen B, every week on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
What's up, Wisconsin sports fans? I'm Dan, diehard Baholic, host of the Wisconsin Whistle. Check us out every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. We're talking Green Bay Packers, Milwaukee Brewers, Milwaukee Bucks, Marquette basketball, Wisconsin football and basketball, and all Wisconsin sports. Don't miss us each week, Wednesdays, 6 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I kind of want to go back to the comments because a couple of guys are checking in. Ruff Khalees, thanks for watching, and glad you're on. Ralph is the host of our Yinzer report on anything Pittsburgh related, so in that Pittsburgh area, and then Brian, our good friend from Boston. Thanks for the compliment. I really appreciate that. I love it. So thanks, guys. So let's talk a little bit about the Wild. Right now, they are struggling in the standings. They started out the season really, really well. And then they've really gotten hit with the injury bug. Between early on in the season, it was Jonas Brodin, Jared Spurgeon got hurt for a few games. The big one is Kaprizov. Kirill Kaprizov is the superstar for the team. He's only played in 37 games this year. Had surgery several weeks ago. It was supposed to be a 4 to 6 week recovery time. Now it's not looking so good. They're hoping that he'll be back for the playoffs, but it sounds like it's a couple of weeks before he's even going to be skating on the ice. They've got 16 games left. I think that's what I counted. So right now they're in fourth place in the Central. They're in that first wild card spot, which is good. They're 7 points up on the 7 points up again over. Let's see, who is it? I know I wrote it down. Calgary and Vancouver. They both are at. Let me see. I think the Wild are at 78, and I think they're both at 71 points. So they've got a solid lead. And so this week was a little bit rough. And as well, yeah. So looking at last week, so Friday night they had a 3-1 loss at Vancouver, which is not good when that's one of the teams that's chasing you. You give them 2 points, you don't get any. They're going to start catching up. Then Sunday they played the Penguins at home, lost 3-1. So that one, Fleury was in at goal. Philip Gustafsson was into the first one. So Gustafsson had, I think he saved 17 of 19 shots, gave up an empty netter at the end for a 3-1 loss. Pittsburgh, Flower had saved 19 to 21 shots, and then an empty netter at the end. So the goalies are playing pretty well. Defense is playing. They're trying to play a really solid defensive game because they don't really have the horses to try and attack too much offensively. I think they have to they're waiting for teams to make mistakes and fail to get back, and then they try to sneak out and get a little bit of a breakaway, get a bit of an odd man rush if there's a bad line change, something along those lines, to try and take advantage of it. But otherwise, they're kind of following the old Jacques Lemaire style that the Wild played with, in the early 2000s. So it might be a little bit older than most of you guys, and you may not even know that name. But he always had the neutral zone trap, and he didn't. It was always about protecting and playing defense as opposed to scoring. And that's kind of the way that the Wild have to play right now, because they don't have the horses to try to score goals. They've got some guys. They've got Marco Rossi, who's put plenty of pucks in the net. Kaprizov, I think, is still leading the team in goals, and he's played 37 games. These other guys have played 60 or 61 or over 60 games, and they're just picking up and scoring as many points as him. This kind of shows you how amazing of a player Kaprizov is. He was an MVP candidate before he got hurt. So it's one of those things where I hope that they're able to get some guys back, because now the other person that's been injured lately is Joel Eriksson, who isn't he's not a Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, kind of center, but he is just a huge center that plays both ways. Like, he is a solid offensive player, but a really good defensive player. So he can really help the penalty kill. And the penalty kill, even with Eriksson, was not very good. They're not a very good penalty kill team, and I'm not sure why. I don't know why they haven't been able to correct it, because it's been going on for the last 2 seasons. The penalty kill has been towards the bottom of the league. You're not going to be able to win many games, or win in the playoffs anyway, if you don't get those things kind of figured out. So anyway, so then on Tuesday night they did play Colorado and got the shutout win at home, which was awesome. Actually, my son and his girlfriend were there at the game, so they got a chance to see that win. So it went to shootouts. Let's see, Gustafsson got the start. He had 27 of 28, stopped 27 of 28 shots during regulation and overtime, and then stopped both shots in the shootout. Wild scored on both of their first 2 shots. I think it was Wolde and Zuccarello, and that was it. Got the 2-1 win. Pretty cool. Anyway, so they're playing tonight. Let me check my phone to see if there's a score. It's the end of the first. Playing the Rangers at home, and it is 0-0 at this point at the end of the first period. So we'll have to follow up on that on next week's show. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. I do want to kind of touch on real quick just the Gophers men's basketball team. They had a disappointing season. Sorry, I can't really change the color of that. It really should be more of a maroon, but kind of roll the boat up here. Anyway, so the Gophers basketball team had a really rough season. They did finish in the top 15 to play in the Big Ten tournament, but then they got beat by Northwestern yesterday. So athletic director Mark Coyle met the team at the airport when they landed about 1:00 in the morning. Took Ben Johnson to the side and let him know that he was being let go. So it's kind of sad, but he hasn't been very successful here since he's been here. He's been here 4 years, 4 seasons. He just hasn't been able to really, put things together with the team. But by all accounts I've ever heard, he's one of the nicest guys ever. But they're going to go back to the drawing board with trying to find a coach. Hopefully they can find somebody that can come in and get these guys playing with a little bit of defense and grit, because that's where it seems to be a bit of an issue. I think when they've had troubles, it's been against teams that really play an aggressive style of defense. And first of all, they don't know how to handle it very well. And they should be able to do that to other teams. There's no reason why they can't. I mean, when it comes to defense on the basketball court, it's all about the desire. If you want to play tough defense, you do it. You make it happen. There is no skill. Well, you need to be athletic, but when it comes to playing solid defense, it's all about just wanting to be there, be in the right spot, be there to want to make plays. And if you're doing that, you're going to be playing really good defense, and then that leads to fast break points. So those are the kinds of things that you need to do. But obviously, on the college level, you need to be able to have good relationships to recruit players, whether it's high school seniors or high school students or people in the transfer portal. But they also need to really figure out a way to work out this NIL stuff, because they just don't have very much money for NIL students, and especially in the basketball program anyway. Without that, they're never going to be even a middle of the pack Big Ten team. I can't see it anyway. And I know that then there's other conflicting opinions about Williams Arena. The barn, is it good for the team? Is it a hindrance when it comes to recruiting? Do today's kids want to play in that environment, in that building? Because it's old. It's over 100 years old. And it's one thing if it's got some nostalgia because, hey, other teams have won national championships here or have made deep playoff runs. But outside of the Final Four appearance with Clem Haskins that never took place because of the cheating scandal, I don't see any. That's the only time that I think the the barn was hopping. So anyway, so that's about all I have to say about the Gophers right now. Baseball team played yesterday at US Bank Stadium. I think they played Kansas, lost 29-1, which was like, woof. It's a big change from what they've had in previous years. So I'm hoping that Ty McDevitt is able to kind of turn some things around there and really recruit some good players and develop some players into being solid draft prospects. Like I think about Max Meyer, drafted by the Florida Marlins, third overall a few years ago, and now he's hurt, but kind of into the rotation or in the mix for the rotation. I think he just had Tommy John surgery though, so we'll see how he comes back from that. But anyway, so I'd just love to see some of these Gopher programs take off. Obviously, the hockey teams are both doing pretty well. I'll talk more about those next week as we get into more in the hockey playoff season. I know that the Gopher men's lost the Big Ten tournament to the final series against Notre Dame. They were 1-1, and then deciding game 3 was won by Notre Dame last weekend. So we'll see how they pull out things the rest of the year. But that's pretty much it for my show, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate all the comments. And we'll see you next week. Just to keep in mind, the Minnesota Twins opening day is 2 weeks from today. How crazy is that? Although it seems like spring training's been going on for about 2 months, but it's only been about a month. But it'll be interesting to see how things play out there. I know that there's questions about who's going to be playing second base for the Twins. Could be Edward Julian, Could be Brooksley. They've got some options. Could be Willie Castro, super sub last year. We'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. Pitching rotation. Hopefully, that comes around. I'm not too enthusiastic about the Twins this year, just because of how they really don't do all that well and stuff. So anyway, thanks again for tuning in. Be sure to check out all of our sponsors: Planet Jerky Beef, Premium Beef Brisket, Beef Jerky, Vital Apparel, Raw Nutrition, Seal Deal Wax Seals, and check out all of our other shows. Really, again, you can find me here on X, Bold North _IESR, or at Ritter13 on X. And if you like today's show and you want to become a sponsor, try to get to that link, and you can see it on my X page, X post. I post that all the time. It's $5 a month. If you become a supporter, I'm going to have you on at least once a month. Interview, chat, get to know each other. Talk about any sport that you want for a segment, and we'll hook you up. It'll be a lot of fun. I would love to do that. It's hard to talk for an hour straight. So if I get somebody else in here to help me do that, all the better. So again, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful week. Sorry, one last cough for the road. Anyway, now really seriously, check out all the other shows as well. I know we had tonight. We had the Georgia show. We got the Chi-Town guy, Jen B, right? Show of the Land. She is one of the queens of this whole network. And she's in Cleveland. Check out her show. And then also the Wisconsin Whistle. Not usually one to support anybody that supports the Packers, but Dan's got a good show over there too. So check them all out. Hope to see you around, and have a wonderful week. Peace.